Hello and welcome. In this lesson, we're going to go ahead and start the PSD construction of our logo design showcase project. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to go to File, New, and I'm going to just call this Logo Design Showcase. And then for the width, I have it set at 800 because that's what works well currently for my resolution, which is 1280 by 720. You can adjust this, whatever fits up to 100% and almost takes up the whole workspace here. So for the height, I have something pretty high. I'm just going to set it at 3035 and I'm going to hit OK. All right, so now we're at 33%. I'm just going to hit Control 1. That'll get us to 100% view. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and fill in the background here with the paint bucket tool. You can just left click and drag out. And for our foreground, we'll just specify a white color. And then what we're going to do is going to go to File, Open. I'm going to choose in the downloads both of these Adobe Illustrator files, which is just the transparent logo that will work on a white and black background. So if I hit Open, I can go ahead and the resolution by default when you open an AI file is 300. We're just going to specify 72, which will work well for these specific files. So I'm going to hit OK and then hit OK once again for the second. All right, so I'm just going to move this over here, logo on the white background, and then we have the black over here. And the only difference is the hour is just made white. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Control A and then Control C, and I'm going to go back here and hit, well, first before I do that, I want to go ahead and basically change this to the background, and I'm going to go ahead and just basically lock that. And I'm going to hit Control V to paste it in. So this size right off the bat is good. We don't want it too small, but we don't want it to be overly massive as well. So up here for this logo showcase, it makes most sense just to show the logo right up front at the top on a white background. So I'm just going to push it just slightly up a little bit. And then what I want to do is go ahead and take the Align tool. And I'm just going to switch over here. You can just choose a gray color. It doesn't have to be exact. Doesn't have to match mine exactly. Just somewhere around here. And I'm going to basically right around here, just hold Shift, left, drag out, and that gives us basically this. Hit Control H if it shows these that line there for the selection. And then I'm just going to take the opacity actually and just drop it down just around 25%. And now underneath here we will show the logo, whatever concept it ends up being, at a smaller view, and then also one that's in a grayscale. So what we'll do is I'm going to take this layer and rename this to logo, and then I'll put parentheses white BG as in background. And so this layer is very important. It'll be the starting layer for our actions, and it will be what we paste in for whatever logo design concept that ends up being, and we'll run through a few of them just to see how everything works. So now what I'm going to do is just duplicate this layer, and that's Control Shift D, or up here just duplicate layer, and I'm just going to drag it down right here, hit Control T, hold Shift, and we want it to be significantly smaller, just to show clients what it looks like as it's scaled down. Does it scale down well or does it not? So hopefully it does. All right, and we don't have to worry about the names of these layers. Actually, we're going to delete these layers when it comes time to recording the actual actions. So I'm going to duplicate that again, and we're going to move this one right around here. And then for our layer blend mode, we're going to choose luminosity. All right. All right, so that's the beginning so far. So good. Now what we want to do is basically replicate this process for a black background version. So just to do that, I'm going to zoom out real quick, and I'm going to choose the rectangle tool, and I'm going to click right up around here just so it's just barely off of the canvas. And I'm going to hold the Alt key, and I'm just going to drag out to roughly the same exact size that we have going down here. So let me go ahead and just remove that. and I want to also just double click this and make this black. Actually, right now the stroke is selected, so if you had a stroke on there, all you have to do to remove that is select there, and then right here we'll just make this black. Alright, so now what I want to do is basically take this and position it right around here to have basically roughly equal white space from the top and bottom. Alright, so once you have that positioned, now what we want to do is go over here to the logo on the black background, Control A, Control C to copy, switch back, and then we will, let's zoom up here to 100% again, and then just hit Control V to paste. Now we're going to name this layer logo and then black BG. Now this is going to be our second most important layer, because these are the only two layers, as you recall from the introduction video, that we have to specify and work with for our actions. Alright, so now what we want to do is basically the same thing. I'm going to take that rectangle 1, I'm going to call this divider, and I'm just going to duplicate that, and we'll push this up over here. Oops, wrong one. I think I selected the wrong layer when I did that. Let me back up real quick. The shape 1 is the divider, and I'll just go ahead and right click and duplicate that, and I'm just going to go ahead and change the color here. Right now it's using a stroke, so the stroke color, if we first select our direct selection tool, and we'll make this white, and we'll go ahead and just drag this down and right around here. Looks pretty good. And then I'll do the same thing. I'll just go ahead and hit Control and left click to automatically select the layer right here, and I will duplicate that. We'll move it down here, and we want it to be roughly, well, pretty much the same size as these over here. So I'm just holding Shift, I hit Control T, hold Shift, scale down, and roughly right around that size. Select the Move tool, hit Apply. And then we'll come back down here and we'll position this up right around there, and then we'll right click and duplicate that, and then do the same thing in changing the layer blend mode to saturation, or luminosity rather. Alright, okay, so now what we want to do is create our business card preview down here. But first, before I do that, I want to create a new rectangle. And so I'm going to just select at the very top here, and while holding the Alt key, we'll make it somewhere roughly around this size. Okay, and then for we want to get rid of any stroke, so we want this to be a solid color. And I think that color right there is pretty good, which is right here for this color code. If you want to go ahead and snag that. We want a light background, not quite a white one, because the business card by default will be white. So we'll just call this real quick print BG. Alright, I'll get Control H to get rid of those bounding boxes. And now what we want to do is take, once again, the rectangle tool, and all we have to do is just click once, left click, and this gives us the ability to create a rectangle with specific sizes. So the standard business card size would be 3.5 IN for inches, and then for the height 2 IN for inches, and then just hit OK. Alright, so now what we can do, we're going to make this white. Alright, so now we can see it, and I hit Control H to get rid of that box, and I'm going to call this a business card for the layer. All I have to do is just double click there. And then I'm going to hit Control T and hold Shift and drag out. And we want this to be pretty big. I'd say right around there. Maybe even just a tad bit bigger. And I'm going to hit, basically select the Move tool, hit Apply. And from here, we're going to right click and we're going to specify Convert to Smart Object. Okay, so now it changes the icon. It's a little bit different looking. And so let's go ahead and close these out real quick because we don't need those anymore. And what happens basically is if I double click on this portion of the business card layer, it brings up this new window. And basically what we can do is go ahead and take our logo up here, hold Control and then left click to select it, hit Control A and then Control C. Now we can switch back to this window and hit Control V, hit Control T to scale it down just a bit. And this would be basically on a business card. And we'll select the Move tool. And really, we're not going to specify or get too crazy with the design here. This is just to give the client an idea of what it might look like on a generic looking type of business card. So I'll create a real quick dividing line right here. And I'll just hold Shift and drag it out. Control H, and we'll go ahead and take this color. I think this will work pretty well. And then we'll just have some filler text here just for your name area. So let me just type in your name. Let me real quickly hit Control T and scale this up, holding Shift. And we can get a couple other lines here. We'll do your at email.com, and then finally we can do maybe a 1 2 3 4 5 6 dash and then 7890. And let me just scale that down real quick. Control T, and maybe we'll go ahead and make it slightly darker. All right, and then hit OK. Now, once we hit Control S or to file save to save it, we can exit out of here and we'll go back down and we'll see that it has what we just specified that's already put on this single layer right here. And we can always access this again and make changes, and it will reflect those changes. So now what I want to do is hit Control T and then hold Shift to scale down to right around this size. And we'll go ahead and hit, select the Move tool and hit Place. Now what we can do is we can duplicate this layer. And so we can right click, we'll duplicate up there, and then we'll select the bottom one, or rather we can drag this to the bottom, hit Control T, and then we will just rotate it very slightly to give the appearance that there are multiple cards here, so that we're kind of looking in a 3D space from top. So it doesn't really look correct though, because it's the same exact color, when in reality there would be a slight shadow, or it'd be slightly darker. So what we could do is over here, just somewhere on the right, is just double click to get up the layer styles options. And what we can do is hit the color overlay, and we'll leave it at normal, and we'll select a black color, just go all the way to black, and we'll take the opacity down quite a bit. So now we can just see it barely, and then we'll hit OK. So let's duplicate that another time, and we'll rotate it again as well. And so let's go ahead and we'll drag this down as well, hit Control T, maybe just a little bit more that time, hit Place, and we can bring this back, the color overlay, and we'll just increase it very slightly so it's a little bit darker than the one above it. All right, and we'll go ahead and hit OK. And then what we can do is we'll select underneath this layer right there, and let's create a new layer, Control Shift N, and we will call this card background, or card shadow rather. I think that would be more appropriate. We'll hit OK, and now we're going to create kind of like a shadow, I guess you could call it, and we'll take the feather brush, make sure hardness is 0, and the size I'll go ahead and experiment with, and we'll choose a color like right around here, and all we have to do is just kind of click once and on the edges where this part overlaps, and then also real quickly we can double click on the top card right here on the right side, we have layer styles. We'll hit drop, maybe we'll do outer glow. And by default, it has this yellow color here. I'm just going to go all the way black. And then instead of screen, I'll just hit normal. And the size, I'm going to increase it just a little bit. And the opacity, I'm going to drop down a lot. And I'm at 7%. I think around 5% is pretty good. And I'm going to hit OK. And then the last thing we'll do is we'll create a second one right here. So what we'll do is right click on the top business card layer. We'll duplicate that. And we're going to right click it again. And we can do new smart object via copy right here, because this isn't going to share the same smart object file. So what we'll do, we can just delete that card or that layer rather right there, and we're going to move this right over here, and I'm going to get rid of that effect right there. And all we're going to do this time, I'm just going to hit Control T to scale it or to rotate it slightly, just around there. Hit the move tool, hit place, and now if I double click on this layer and we get rid of all of these layers right here, now what we want to do is take this and just make it black. Control S will save it, and now we have a black card. And what I want to do is just take the black logo right here, Control left click, Control A, and then Control C, Control D real quick. And if we select back on here and we bring this up and we just paste that right in the center and then Control S to save, we'll see we have maybe, basically a potential view of what the card would look like, or the logo would look like on the background of a black back card. So now what I want to do is go ahead, Control left click to get this background right here. And we're going to make it quite a bit taller, and select apply just right around there. And that's a good portion, or a good point rather, to go ahead and stop. And we'll continue on with finishing up this PSD construction for our logo design showcase here in the next lesson. All right, I'll see you then.